Alright, what's going on, guys? So yesterday I asked you on Facebook, what is your favorite NPC questline in the Dark Souls games, and why? And I got some really good answers that we're going to break down here, but before we begin, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've noticed the vast majority of you aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you don't mind, go ahead and hit that button. It's really going to help me out a lot if you want to see more of my content. And one more thing, if you're not following the Instagram, make sure you go do that right now. You're not going to want to miss out on that. We have a lot of great content over there, and that's where I can interact with you guys the most and share some cool Dark Souls memes. And lately we've been doing an elimination game to see what everybody's favorite boss is, and that's been a lot of fun, so make sure you go drop a follow on that. Alright, and without further ado, let's get into the best NPC questlines in the Souls games submitted by you guys. Okay, so the first submission is Greirat the Thief. Now I know this is a lot of people's favorite NPC in Dark Souls 3, and it was probably my favorite too. But the submission says, I'd have to say Greirat the Thief, since in his case, I've also lost someone close to me years ago, etc. Now this post highlights something that I really found to be special about the characters in Dark Souls. All of the characters in the Dark Souls games kind of encapsulate some really core human emotion, and they do that really well at communicating that. And that's what makes them so memorable to me. Like, you can kind of latch on to the characters in these games because it really showcases that core emotion that they feel. And in Greirat's case, you find him locked up in Lothric Castle, or in the High Wall of Lothric, and he tasks you with finding his lost wife Loretta. He wants you to deliver her ring to her, but after we free him, we find her body in the undead settlement. Once he learns of this, he becomes mournful and distraught, but accepting of it. He knew about the cruel reality that lay outside. And once he recovers, he decides to help us out by searching Lothric for useful items that can help us on our quest. He was a thief after all. And this gives him a new purpose that he can continue his life with, and give him a meaning to keep on living. And I just think it's so cool that a character in a video game like this can really help you cope with real world problems like losing a loved one. It can help give you something to identify with and show you that you're not alone in that tragedy. And that's just so cool to me. Alright, and for the next one we have Siegmeyer of Catarina in Dark Souls 3. I know this one was submitted a lot of times, but the submission says, The Onion Knight in Dark Souls 3. A long time ago he promised Yoren that if Yoren would fail, he will return to put him to sleep, and he did. Also, I like onions, so that's a plus. Yeah, I like onions too, bro. But Siegmeyer was such a cool character to see in Dark Souls 3. He follows you throughout the game on this questline and assists you in a lot of places, really reminiscent of Siegmeyer in Dark Souls 1. My first time through Dark Souls 3, I wasn't fortunate enough to find this questline on my own since I like to do blind playthroughs. But when I went back and watched the lore videos about it, this was by far my favorite in the game. To me, seeing him keep that promise throughout this whole lifetime in this distraught world, even though he was starting to go hollow, he always remembered that promise he made to Yoren, and he saw it through to the end. And to me, that loyalty is so freaking cool, man. I love stories like that. And the Knights of Catarina are just such cool characters, and everybody loves them. And you can see why. And so Siegmeyer of Catarina is number 2 on the list. Alright, for our third submission we have Anri of Astora. The post says, I don't really have a favorite, so instead I'll say one that no one else is. Anri, she, or he, is an Ashe just like you on a quest with her companion Horus to kill a Lord of Cinder, just like you. Even the little she talks about her childhood at the cathedral shows how depressing her life has been. When her companion is killed and she has to face her duties alone, she slowly loses it and becomes more and more depressed. She is the only potential love interest if you do Uria's quest, or you can help her kill Aldrich for her to hollow at Horus's grave. A dark and depressing questline like this should not be left out of this comment section. I agree, man. Anri's questline is honestly one of the saddest in the game if you really look into it. It really shows how hopeless and depressing the world of Dark Souls is, and it's so interesting to see characters go up against such a cruel world. This was one of the quest lines I made all the way through on my first playthrough blind, and I really got immersed in it. I thought it was so creepy in like the wedding scene, where you'd stab the sword in her face and that, it really gave me chills, and it was just creepy in my opinion. But that was actually the good ending for her. Because, like he said, she goes hollow at Horus's grave. And that's just even more depressing. But that's why it's so interesting to me, because you can see these characters really interacting with the world that you're in, that you can't really get from being an external player. And that's why I like it so much, and that's why it's number 3 on the list. And for the next submission, we have Lucille of Mira from Dark Souls 2. The post says, Lucille of Mira, she had a tragic questline, felt really bummed at the end when she accepted the fact that she was going to go hollow, and there was nothing she could do about it. She did take solace in the fact that we, the bearer of the curse, would remember her. And then somebody replied, helplessly witnessing her descent into madness is more engaging than any of the more mainline questlines. Lucille really is such a great character for Dark Souls 2, and it's one that most people actually followed through with on their first playthrough. At about the mid-stage of her questline, it's really hard to find her in the areas like the Black Gulch and the, the Poison Tower area after the Iron Keep. She's really out of the way, but on my first playthrough I did actually see this questline through the full way. And the stories that she says of her family and stuff, it really sounds like a cool background that I really wish I could learn more about. But you do see her end up forgetting everyone around her and slowly going hollow throughout the game. You really see this downward spiral of hopelessness throughout her questline, and it's really sad. But that is that theme that's reoccurring all throughout Dark Souls. The hollow curse and the hopelessness that entails. And Miyazaki and the team at Fromsoftware are so good at creating these characters that really, really drive home those core emotions that they feel, like I was talking about at the beginning. And Lucille is a really great example of that. And before we get to the final submission, here's a list of some others that people submitted. We have Ben Hart and Solaire, Patches, Siegward, Onion Dude. A lot of love for the Catarina Knights, as I was saying before. They're just such great characters, and they were submitted by far the most on this list. And for the final submission, we have the little girl from Bloodborne. The post says, the little girl from Bloodborne, sad story is sad. And man, this is a very sad story. Now, I've never played Bloodborne, but I did just go watch the lore for this exact character right before making this video. And in summary, we find her locked away in her house, crying about the disappearance of her parents, and when we approach, she asks us to search for them and gives us a music box that plays her father's favorite tune. Now, when we go to fight Father Gascoigne, you play this music box, and it causes him to get distracted and distraught, kinda like the Demon of Hatred with Malcontent Whistle. So that clarifies the fate of her father, becoming this beast and blood-drunk hunter. And later in the game, we actually find the body of her mother scattered against a little drop-off in the city. And when we tell the girl about this, she becomes really sad and asks if there's anywhere she can go to get away from it all. Now from here, I haven't played the game, so I didn't quite really understand like the areas and everything that were tied to this, but they encountered this other NPC that said they had a safe place for sane people to go. And you tell the girl about this, but on your way back there, you encounter this large boar. And when you kill the boar, you actually find her body. And so because of your actions, even though they're out of goodwill, you lead her to this gruesome fate at the hands of this beast. And the only other option for her, from what I gathered, is that you leave her at the house and her sister arrives. But I think from what I saw in the video, it seemed like the sister actually killed her. And you find her body at the bottom of a large drop-off just like her mother. And then you can hear the sister laughing and saying that the ribbon that the little girl wore is hers now. And dude, it's just so freaking sad and dark. But it is Bloodborne, and I guess that's to be expected. Because Fromsoftware like to throw in these very tragic stories. And I guess that's what makes them so memorable and really hit the hardest. But that's going to be it for the list. There were a lot that I was surprised I didn't see on there, like Artorias and Sif, Solaire, and other ones that I really expected to see but didn't. But if you guys did enjoy, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're not already, if you want to see more of my content, and I'll catch you in the next video.
A test drive out in the west side, she get my best side. Girl, I know you see it coming on your timeline. You're just like fine wine, hit on my